I think a lot of people think of this as a problem that has been solved by the civil rights movement of the 1960s, and we can talk about some of the cases and the volume of complaints and calls that we're getting that show that unfortunately we have not fully eliminated housing discrimination at this time. Thinking back to the work that Dr. King did, it was actually his assassination on April 4th that pushed Congress to move on April 11th in 1968 and pass the fair housing laws. The civil rights laws, including fair housing sections, had been brought forward, and the housing sections were always removed before the legislation passed until that day. And so what a cost. And so all the work that we do honors that legacy, and I think it's a lesser known legacy of Dr. King's work. He moved his family into a tenement building in Chicago, and they experienced physical violence. And it's an undertold story, but it's critical. It's the bedrock for the fair housing movement and getting us that first layer of law. We've had additional laws and protected classes added over time, and Michigan has been an early adopter. In 1976, our state law for civil rights came online and gave us our protected classes, and that has since grown significantly in the last 2 years. So there's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot of work to be done. I've seen some distinct shifts in the type of allegations that we get, and I've also seen a greater awareness and understanding of fair housing, especially in the last 10 years, which is really exciting. Citizens understand that having that freedom to choose your housing free from discrimination based on protected classes is critical. We're also in a record housing shortage. There's an affordability crisis. So there's a lot of attention on the housing market right now, and thankfully some of that conversation is focused on equity and upholding choice along the whole spectrum of what we need. We need rental housing, we need starter homes, we need the whole spectrum, we need accessible features, we need safe and quality homes available to our citizens. So that has, I think, increased quite a bit in the last 10 years. And then in terms of the types of allegations made to us, when I first started, again, almost 25 years ago, we had a significant decades-long trend of race-based allegations being the top that came to us. And then during the housing crisis, when kind of the foreclosure crisis exploded, the housing bubble burst, we saw a lot of discrimination against families with children who had lost their homes and were now flooding the rental market. And so families with children from 2007 to 2015 was our top allegation. And then we saw a pivot in 2015 with allegations on the basis of disability, physical and mental disability becoming our #1 allegation reported to us. And that has continued to today, 10 years later. We want to make sure we're providing fair housing information from both perspectives, because fair housing laws prohibit housing discrimination, and both sides need to know what that looks like based on who they are. So for the industry, we really want to help them understand what fair housing laws prohibit them from doing, and more importantly, proactively prevent housing discrimination from happening. So we offer technical assistance and best practices training to the industry side. And then on the consumer side, we really want everyone in the community, regardless of what their profession is or even their age. We do school-based programming. We want everyone to understand what fair housing laws are and what their fair housing rights are. We'll go into school classrooms and read children's books, or we'll do tabling at outdoor events, or partner with libraries, partner with the city. We've done some really fun sessions where we talk about what tenants' rights are, and we partner with other agencies that serve that same community. The City of Holland does a phenomenal job kind of creating those resource events to let people know what are their rights when it comes to housing, what does housing discrimination look like, and who can they contact. We have a wonderful partnership with the City of Holland that really keeps us informed as to what are the unique issues to Holland and what we can do together to further fair housing. So the benefit of doing a lot of work online now is that we're seeing attendance from across the region. People are interested and want to have this information. So we've been able to train over 3,000 housing industry professionals. So that could be a real estate agent, a lender, government official with zoning or planning responsibilities. Holland has had a local ordinance that has prohibited housing discrimination based on where the household income comes from. And that's essentially encouraging landlords to take income that is legal, that is verifiable, but it's not from a paycheck. It's not employment-based. There are a lot of households that live with income that is not employment-based. There's all sorts of subsidies or retirement or alimony. There's other legal sources of income. And that's really critical in our housing shortage and in our affordability crisis, where families with limited means have the ability to compete somewhat on the rental market. And so having that protection in Holland really showed that that works. both Michigan and Holland have also expanded their protections in the last few years to include sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression as well. So again, with all my time in fair housing, we don't see a lot of expansions of law, especially at the state level. This is the first time it's happened in my tenure. And so we're really grateful that we have these protections now for more vulnerable populations. And we have been doing a lot of education and just kind of building trust and awareness to say these are the sorts of things that can be reported to us. This is what it looks like or sounds like when you experience this type of discrimination. Building a trusted presence in a community and letting people know where to go once they do recognize or experience housing discrimination, or even if they're not sure, we encourage them to call. It's our job to listen and identify if there is a fair housing issue. Our name actually is a tough name to have because there's a lot that's unfair in the housing market right now. Not all of it is illegal. So it's our job to kind of tease that out and help people understand what is a fair housing violation and what can be done about it.